Can you just update us on what you saw, or just what Fred Warner's status is, and just how he's dealt with the last week, and then also just how dependable he's been for you guys, entering his third season?
Yeah, Fred's back. He's good to go. I can't talk about too much of his week away, but I mean, Fred's been as reliable of a player that we've had. It's great to get him back today. We were obviously pretty nervous about that, but he's good to go, and we're very grateful he's going to be here. The rest of the guys that practice, Ayuk and Debo, likely not to practice today. Small chance, but I'd be surprised if they're out there. Verrett is out, and Garland should be limited today.
Kyle, you guys are going against a mobile quarterback again to start out the season. That was kind of more of a challenge last year. What have you seen from the defense that's going to help you get after that a little bit more this season?
I mean, that's always going to be a challenge. Anytime you got guys who can run around like this one can in particular, and how good of a thrower he is, I mean, that's always going to be a huge challenge. So you get used to going to this against this stuff. We had it twice last year, but I know there'll be a bunch of new wrinkles this time, especially with the first game and having all off season to think about it. But our defense knows what to expect from the personnel, and you got to be ready to react to the new stuff. But he's going to get some of his, and we just got to make sure to get more.
With the changes to the preseason schedule and just everything that you've had to deal with leading up to the opener, do you and the coaching staff have to kind of figure out how much you want to play your guys? I know certain positions lend to rotating more than others, but is that something that you have to think about, the workload that you're going to give guys week one?
Yeah, you got to know who's ready to go in and perform at a certain amount of plays, and especially, I mean, I think you had enough camp and stuff to get guys in shape to play football. I mean, I don't think you always need the preseason games to do that. The problem was that we did it in a crammed time. And so guys who missed some of that time, they didn't get it in the whole crammed time. So if you had all that time, then I don't think not having the games is a big issue. But not everyone did get that because of the wear and tear of training camp. So those guys you got to be smart about, evaluate where they're at all week. That's talking to the player. It's us looking at it, talking to the doctors, getting a lot of science involved that helps us with our decisions. But each guy's different, and you got to see how the game goes. But your main decision is you don't want to put a guy out there who's not in shape enough to pull off what you need him to pull off or to protect himself.
Hey, Kyle, I know the NFC West has always been kind of a difficult place and even more difficult now. I'm just curious how you assess the division going into this season, and is there any more emphasis on these division games, particularly in a season like this?
I mean, I think you do every year. I think if you look at, regardless of which year, usually the team who wins the most games in their division makes the playoffs. And if you don't do well in your division, very rarely do you find a way to make the playoffs. So I think that goes every year. I guess I could say maybe this year might be bigger, but it seems like the biggest factor each year. It'll be different without the crowd noise in the West that you usually have every place, so we'll see how that goes. But it's pretty much always as important as it is this year.
Kyle, have you guys finalized whatever the sound situation inside Levi's is going to be for Sunday? And,
yeah, it's more of a, I think it's a consensus for the whole league. I believe it's 70 to 75. So we're going to decide on those two. We'll keep it a secret for some reason so they don't play with the right decibels the whole week, but we'll see if that's an advantage for us. We'll surprise them on Sunday.
There was a video clip of you calling it human torture. Just how much of an adjustment period is that for even the coaching staff, just procedurally?
I think it'll be a huge adjustment for everyone out there. You don't realize just what constant noise is like. It's not about being loud or too low. It's about just constant. I mean, usually when the plays start, you get to hear the pop and you get to hear football. When things aren't going on, you can have conversations with people and stuff. So just the constant noise is a little tough to deal with, but the fans won't be having to deal with it. That'll just be us. So hopefully we can make sure that doesn't affect our game, which it shouldn't. It's more about just irritation of it, and then you embrace it and realize that can't affect you unless you let it affect you, and you just go back to playing football.
Hey, Kyle, it's been noted as it relates to Jimmy, how quarterbacks in the second full season in your system have taken off. I guess Matt Schaub and Matt Ryan being the best examples. I'm sure it's not just, wasn't the same thing with those two quarterbacks, but in what ways did those guys improve in their second season? and could it be similar areas for Jimmy, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think it does for most, positions and people too. I mean, if you're good enough, and the more you do something, usually the better you get at it. And especially when you have some continuity with the players around you. It's not always just the quarterback. Sometimes the other 10 guys, it's their second year in the system too. It's their third year, it's their fourth year. So your teams get better. You look at some of our guys in our first year and second year. I don't know if our team was better halfway through our second year with some of the stuff that was going on. So you don't always get to see that with the quarterback. But with Jimmy going through what he went through last year and being able to pull off the year that he did, especially with coming off that injury, he learned a lot and also played at a very high level. And to be able to go through that this year, having very similar players around him, the offense doesn't change. You just get better at it. And I think that'll definitely help him.
Hey, Kyle, now that training camp is through, with across the league a lot of success keeping the virus down, how optimistic are you that things are going to go smoothly throughout the whole season?
I don't expect it at all to go smoothly throughout the whole season, whether there's COVID or not COVID. You always, there's so many things happen in an NFL season that it's always a different team that you end with that you started with, just with the injuries and everything that happens. On top of that, putting in a pretty unprecedented thing that we are going through with the state of this pandemic and everything. I definitely expect things to happen, and you got to be ready to adjust to all of that. Everyone's going to do as good as they can, which I think we have as good of a situation as possible with that stuff. But you're expecting things to happen, and when it does, you deal with it the best you can. You make sure people are healthy and you're doing things the right way, and you hope you never have something where it makes it impossible to go out there and compete.
Hi, Kyle. George obviously didn't play much against the Cardinals last year, but he did have that highlight reel play against Buda Baker. I'm wondering, when you go back to that play and then back to George's development as a tight end, do you remember the first time when he showed that kind of cutting ability, not just the speed, but that kind of cutting ability to get open against such a smaller defensive back?
Yeah, George, since he's gotten here, George is a very talented guy. For our first time with him in training camp, we just felt very fortunate to get the guy that we got, where we got him. The way he moved around, the way he ran. He's only added size on himself since he's been here. And he's also gotten a lot healthier since he was his first couple of years. But, the second year, the stuff that you could see him do with the football in his hands, not always in routes, but just the ability he has in the open field to run. On that one in particular, I thought it was more after the catch. He just had to throw him off of him to get him off of him in that situation. He's a sticky cover guy and as good of a safety as there is in this league. And George is as good of a tight end as there is in this league. So it's always been a fun matchup, even though it was small. Even though it was short to watch him last time. But I expect that being a really tough matchup for both guys for a long time.
Hey, Coach, I haven't seen what the air quality looks like in Santa Clara, but in San Francisco, it's orange. Have you seen – I know you're getting ready for a game, but have you seen any of these pictures on social media, and what are your thoughts about the air quality and what's going on in our state with the fires?
I haven't seen it on social media, but I've seen it out here. We just got back in from walkthrough, and it's orange out here too. I feel like I'm in the book of Eli. It's like an apocalyptic state out there. But surprisingly, the air quality doesn't seem as bad as it looks. A few weeks ago when we had it, or last week, it got past 150 here for us. But today, when we were just out there 15 minutes ago, the air quality was at 69, I think, which isn't close to what it's been. But yeah, it definitely looked different out there.
Kyle, you had a lot of praise for Dante Pettis when early in training camp. I'm just wondering whether he followed through with that, for the rest of training camp and these recent practices, and how you feel about the prospect of him possibly starting, having a big game reps wise on Sunday.
Yeah, we got, with two receivers up this week, with them being day to day, we're ready for any situation with the receivers. Whether Dante's going to play a lot, play a little, he's kind of in the same boat with about four other guys. But what I can say is Dante is so much more prepared right now for the season than he was last year at this time. Just the work he put in when he was away, the stuff I said earlier in the year, but it definitely hasn't changed. Everyone battled through camp and had some good days, some bad days, but Dante was so prepared for camp fought through camp, the tough days, and I think took a number of steps forward as a receiver. And whether he gets his opportunity this week or some other time throughout the year, he's put himself in position to have a chance to be successful.
Hey, Kyle, I know in years past you might have waited a little later in the season to determine captains, but has that been something that's been determined so far?
Yes, they voted on it Saturday. I think I announced it Monday. There's 7 of them. I think last year we had 5. I think they changed the rules. We're allowed to have 8 this year. But the guys, if I can remember, we had Jimmy, Kittle, and then we had McGlinchey and Trent. Yep. And then on defense, we had Armstead, Sherman, and which one? And Fred. So we got 7 there. Room for 1 more if we decide to go that way.
Hey, Kyle, with everything different this offseason, no preseason, et cetera, mentally, does this week feel like a different week 1 at all than it has in the past?
Yeah, it definitely feels like a different week 1 because it's just we're such creatures of habits. And I'm doing the same thing I've done on every single Wednesday for the last 17 years. I mean, as far as getting ready for your Wednesday practice, you know how every Saturday is, every Sunday. You just have, the feelings that you have every year, and they're all a little different this year because we're off a little bit with our schedules and the process that we usually go through. But everyone's in the same boat, and so once you think about that and you realize like it's a little weird for everyone going out there and feeling their way, but once that game starts, it's week 1 like it always is. The crowd might not be there the same, which, I watched the NFC Championship game Sunday. They had it on TV here, and that was really cool to watch that on TV like a fan and to see how crazy our stadium was the last time we were in it and how cool that was. And I know how it was when we first got here, and it wasn't quite the same. And just the hard work and everything that the players put in to give the stadium something that exciting to be about. And watching on TV, it pumped me up. But then you realize, oh man, like it's not going to be like that this Sunday, which you got to talk to the players about because that energy that our stadium started to get like last year, I mean, it fueled us. But I also want to remind the players that the way they played, I think, fueled the fans. And I think both people earned that. And it sucks for the fans that I think what we've earned and to get them to something to be excited about. It sucks that they can't come there and be a part of it with us. And that hit me more Sunday than anything, just watching it on my couch at home. But that's something we're going to have to deal with and create our own energy with that, something I think we have done in the past. And even though we know our fans are at home being crazy and loud, we're going to make sure that we hold it down the right way in the stadium.
We're on last one.
Hey, Kyle, the Cardinals led the league last year in 10 personnel usage under Kingsbury. And they were able to hit you guys on defense with a few big plays. So if you can just talk about just how difficult it is to prepare for an air raid offense and the challenge that it presents.
Yeah, it is difficult. And and what Cliff's done such a good job of, it's not just air raid. I mean, he's taken a lot of things. I mean, the stuff that he's done in college has been very effective and causes a lot of problems for defenses. But he also throws a lot of other stuff out there that you got to respect and you got to do. So it's just the balance of their attack with the creativity that Cliff has and all the different things they can do. The quarterback who has the ability to do everything, whatever style they want to go with. So regardless of what personnel they're in, they're going to put you in some tough situations at all times. I mean, it's a sign of a good offense. It's put together well, and a lot of it is a little bit different, but there's a lot of similarities in everyone else too. And when you combine that with how they're coached, with the talent that they have, it's not a surprise at all how they ended up finishing up last year offensively, and I know they're going to be a real good offense this year too.
All right, thanks, folks.
Thanks, guys.
What's up, everyone?
Hey, Jimmy. Kyle was just saying, sorry. Kyle was just saying that, that mentally it's a little bit different this week than it has been in past week ones. Can you talk a little about that? And he also was saying he just watched the NFC Championship game and talked about how the crowd really fueled you guys. So can you just talk a little bit about that and the difference it's going to be in week one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a ton of differences this season, and it's just it's really up to everyone to just adjust to it as best you can on the fly. So I think you can't put too much thought into it, but you have to realize that it is a different week. We had no preseason, so approach is a little different, but it's basically the same. Once we get to that week one, it's all game prep and getting ready to roll now.
Jimmy, it looked like, I mean, obviously last year you guys got in a pretty good rhythm on offense during certain points of the season. But this year you start the year with so many new guys at the skill positions, and I include Trent Taylor in that, but, Ayuk and Jordan Reed and Jerick McKinnon. As a quarterback, how relevant is kind of the feeling out process of how you can use those guys and the qualities they bring, and at what points during the course of a game or on a weekly basis one guy might kind of rise above the others?
Well, I think there's a lot that goes into it. Obviously it starts in practice, just being able to trust the guy, count on him that he's going to know what he has to do and get it done. I think that's a big factor in it. But once you get into the games, when the bullets are flying, then you really see the guys you could trust, the guys you could rely on. And, some of that has to come by trial and error. We try to do as much of it as we can with practice and, just talking to each other off the field and getting on the same page. And I think all those things factor into it.
Jimmy, sort of piggybacking off Tracy's question, but before games, you tend to run to the corner of the field, kind of fire the fans up. I'm wondering what the process is like for you personally in terms of the way you energize yourself before a game, and how much the fans are a part of that, and how much you might be missing that aspect of it on Sunday.
Well, it's like I said before, it's some things are just out of your control, so you just got to make the best of the situation. I mean, obviously not having the fans out there, not having the faithful, it's going to be weird, and we're going to miss those guys. It's just the energy they bring it's unbelievable. It's invaluable for our team, and we're just gonna have to bring that energy ourselves. And so it's one of those things. You just gotta control what you can control and make the best of it.
Hey, Jimmy, I know that George didn't get to play too much against the Cardinals last year, but he made his chances count with that touchdown against Buda Baker. From the quarterback's perspective, I was hoping you could take me back to that play, what you saw, and also what are the challenges for you when a player of Buda's caliber is covering George? What is there anything special the quarterback has to keep an eye out on to make sure that George can get the ball and do his thing?
Nothing in particular. It's on that play specifically. It was man-to-man. Got George on Buda. George made an unbelievable release at the line. Got a little separation. That's the hard thing against Buda and all their cover guys is they don't give you much separation, and so you got to be on point with the throws. Got to make some tough contested catches, and all that stuff plays into the game plan. But whenever you get your matchups, you got to take them.
Hey, Jimmy, looking back from last year, how much did your success last year elevate your expectations for this year, or maybe make it more realistic, knowing how well you were able to do last year?
I think it was a good stepping stone, especially coming back from the ACL injury, first full season as the starter, and I think it's a step in the right direction. And now this season, just got to keep it rolling. And so it's one of those things. Can't think about it too much. Can't get caught too much up in it, but it's always in the back of your mind.
Hey, Jimmy, two things. Who's playing Chandler Jones on the scout team? And then also, with all the detractors, your teammates have stepped up and kind of backed you up and said, it's ridiculous, all the criticism you're getting. How does it make you feel as part of this team?
Well, I'll answer the first. For Chandler, we got a couple different guys mixing in there. Chan he's unreal. He could do speed, power, make plays in space. So we got to have a couple different guys in there demonstrating all those techniques. But, yeah, what was the second question? Sorry about that.
just your teammates stepping up to kind of back you up and say that there's no reason to doubt you.
Yeah, you know, whenever your teammates, you know, can back you up like that, say something nice in your favor, it's always nice to hear. But you know, what goes on in that locker room, what we see on a daily basis from each other, you know, just the time that we put in, the work that we put in, I think that that goes a lot further than everything else. And so, you know, I love my teammates, love the brothers, but they, yeah, it's just a great group of guys to be with.
Hey, Jimmy, obviously last year you were in a Super Bowl. You were the only quarterback who was in the top 5 in was it passing touchdowns, completion percentage, yards per attempt. I'm just pumping you up here. Anyway, my point being is you had a very good season, but there's so much talk this offseason, even from Kyle and John, about how much better you can be, and you know, you're expected to improve. Does that add any pressure?
I think I lost you there, Eric. I think I know where you're going with the question. No added pressure. Just, you know, it is what it is type of thing. It's one of those, you know, you don't want to dwell on last season too much and get caught up in all that good stuff. You got to make it count the next year. And that's what this league's all about, is the consistency. If you could do it year in and year out and, you know, make the best of your situation, whenever you get your opportunity, take advantage of it.
Jimmy, I know you're getting ready for the game, but obviously the weather and the skies and the air quality up here in San Francisco, it's orange. I'm not sure what it looks like down there, but have you seen some of the pictures on social media, and what's it look like down in Santa Clara?
Yeah, it's I mean, it's dark out there, and it's not clouds. It's I mean, just with the smoke and everything. I mean, we just did a walkthrough a little while ago, and there's ash falling all over the place. It's different, but you know, send best wishes to all the families out there that are dealing with it, and it's a tough time, so stay safe.
Hey, Jimmy, you obviously went through sitting out most of the last year before playing the opener. Do you sense the excitement from Trent Williams after missing a whole year, and what is he going to bring to you guys?
Oh, yeah. Trent, I mean, all the guys. It's been a while for all of us. Guys coming back from injuries, I know that feeling. So, you know, whenever they could get out there and make the impact that they can, it's going to be exciting. I can't wait to see Trent out there.
Thanks, Jimmy.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Let's get this show on the road.
Hey, Nick.
Hello.
Hello. Kyle was just talking about, he watched the NFC Championship game the other day, and he talked about how the crowd really fueled you guys. Obviously, this year, there's not going to be a crowd. It's going to be quite different. Can you just talk about mentally how you're preparing for that, and if this week is feeling any different as a result?
Yeah, I mean, the whole year's felt a lot different, and just little things like fans waiting outside our facility, waiting to get things signed, and just the people screaming outside by the gate. Like, those are the things that you kind of miss when you're going through this type of year. But it's just going to be that initial get going that the fans really help you with. I think once you really get into the game and start playing, you kind of become self-motivated, or else you're going to not play very well. But just having the fans on third downs and just getting you going when the game starts and the national anthem, all that stuff, hearing everybody cheer. So there's nothing you could really do to prepare for it, but we'll be ready to go.
Hey, Nick, going against a mobile quarterback is always a challenge. You guys are starting week 1 with Kyler Murray. How are you guys better equipped to deal with that this year than you were last year?
Just because we know what we're facing. Obviously, we knew he was mobile last year, but now we know where he likes to go, where he likes to roll out, where he likes to escape. Just all little things like that. And we just have a better plan this year of how to stop them and get to those 3rd and longs that we want to get to.
Hey, Nick, when the schedule came out, did you kind of scout out which quarterbacks you're going to be hunting all season? And what's the relationship like with Kyler since you guys went through the draft process, exchanged jerseys and all that?
Yeah, I mean, whenever you get the schedule, you kind of breeze through it, thinking about what tackles you'll be going against and what quarterbacks. But yeah, there's no use to get really hyped up about it then, because you're gonna have to deal with somebody every week. So I just try and focus now on who I'm playing every week. And then Kyler, we went to a couple events together. We were at the draft, obviously. He's cool. Talked to him a little bit, but I wouldn't say we keep in touch very often.
Hey, Nick, Kyle indicated when you first had the injury that they were concerned. There was some serious concern there. What was your level of concern, and how are you feeling now?
Very low concern, especially 2 weeks ago. Had some time, knew that I could rest up and be ready. I know the training that I do in the off season is going to help me get through things like this, and I think I'm past it completely, and I'm excited that it happened just in time.
Hey, Nick, has your process changed at all as far as preparation? How much time you budget during the week to learn and study your game plan, as opposed to how much time you spend during the week learning and studying the opponent that you're going to be going up against? And can
yeah, it's changed a little bit, just because I know what I really need to focus on now. I definitely kind of started watching film later in the week last year, and now I want to at least get a good amount of film in before this. This week it was our Monday practice, but this week, Wednesday. So just before Wednesday, I want to have a good plan in my head of what he's going to give me, and just talk to the scout team tackle and tell him some things that he could do on Wednesday to just emulate the guy I'm going against, so that I could just get better practice and not just go through the motions against somebody who plays completely different. So it doesn't make much sense. So I talked to school and Sweet, and they just kind of try and they watch a little film on Arizona as well, and they try and just show me what I'm gonna get, and then. But yeah, I don't watch film for a crazy amount of time. It's not like I'm sitting like Fred probably is for hours and hours. I think you start to overthink things as a defensive end, and you just want to be playing fast. So I just try and find the things that I need to find.
Hey, Nick, I'm sure there are a lot of fans that don't know much about Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, who may have surprised some by sticking on the 53-man roster. Did you notice him, kind of progressing throughout training camp? I guess and did he surprise you at all?
No, he definitely didn't surprise me. I always knew that the defensive coaches loved him, and I saw on the field why they loved him. But he was hurt last year and maybe some practice squad last year, so he didn't really get to show it. But I was not surprised at all. I know that they want to find a place for him in the defense. Obviously, it's tough with the linebackers we have right now, but no, I was not surprised, and I always had a pretty good idea that he was going to be a really good player.
Nick, do you have any specific individual goals for the season in terms of, sack total, something like that? And then is getting the snide off on Kyler part of that list?
I think my goal this year is not to think about that, so no.
Nick, you spoke of getting the guys to try to emulate your offensive tackle opponents. Do you try to get anybody to emulate Murray? Is that even possible? And with a really lower profile guy like that, do you have to think about attacking him in a different way, tackling him differently than you would a 6'4" guy?
We have Richie. I think he's going to do some of the zone read stuff. Hasty, our new running back, and I think Kyle said that they might come over to the scout team and give some, because Nick and CJ aren't cutting it with the speed. But just the zone read stuff. Other than that, just try and keep your eyes on his hips.
Thank you, Nick.
Cool. Thank you.